Hello, seekers of the inner truth. What if I told you that addiction is not your real problem? That he is just a messenger, a symptom of something much deeper that resides in his soul? Think with me, a fever is just a sign that something is happening internally. Similarly, addiction can be the fever of your soul, pointing to a hidden wound, a silenced pain, a loyalty that you do not even recognize. A call to look beyond what is obvious. Many of you come to me with the burden of an addiction, seeking willpower, real discipline. But my experience showed me something different. True cure is not fighting the symptom, but in looking at the deep root that feeds it. And it is this root that we will unravel together on this journey. Prepare for a deep self-reflection. In this meeting, we will unravel the systemic roots of addiction, looking at what really drives it, and finding the way to lasting liberation and a deep sense of inner peace. Are you ready to face this truth within you? Addiction, in its multiple and treacherous shapes, whether in substances such as alcohol or drugs, in compulsive behaviors such as excessive games and purchases, or even in destructive thinking patterns and relationships. It is, in the background, emotional anesthesia. It is the desperate attempt of his soul to silence a pain that was not expressed, such a profound affective need that has become an unbearable void. As I said once, the soul has no secrets. It reveals what is hidden through symptoms. Think of an executive who, after a stressful day and full of charges, seeks alcohol to relax. In fact, he is running away from exhaustion, the accumulated frustration, and perhaps that old loneliness that insists on knocking on the door of his heart. Or that person who surrenders to binge eating, as if the food could somehow fill a void that dates back to his injured child, seeking a comfort that never reached the childhood, a missing hug. Addiction becomes a false friend who promises relief, but delivers more imprisonment. I ask you, what have you avoided feeling? What thrill or deep pain has addiction to have tried to silence in you? What part of your inner child still calls for attention and welcome? Deepening ourselves a little more, we come to one of the most powerful and often painful concepts of family constellations, invisible loyalty. Without even realizing it, we are driven by blind love, a deep and unconscious love to repeat destinations, pains, and even destructive patterns of our ancestors. It is as if, at the bottom of your soul, there was a silent oath. I follow you in your pain so that you are not alone. I often say, many times, unknowingly, we repeat destinations of our ancestors, taken by a blind love that holds us. Think of the grandson that, driven by a deep love and not recognized by his grandfather, repeats the pattern of alcoholism. It is not a conscious choice. It is not a lack of character. It is a way of belonging, of honoring, or trying to alleviate a suffering that drags on the lineage, as if the soul wanted to say, I see you, Grandpa, and take a piece of your cross. Or the woman who, in her relationships, is trapped in cycles of abuse, without understanding that she is loyal to a similar destination lived by her mother, her grandmother, or even an aunt who was forgotten in family history. It is as if the unresolved pain of someone needed to be carried by another. Think, is your addiction connected to a destination or an unresolved pain in your family lineage? Who, in your story, are you unconsciously being loyal through this pattern? The mother is our first universe, the first safe haven, the first unconditional yes to life. I used to say, the mother is the first great yes to life. If the movement toward the mother was interrupted, life may feel incomplete. When this primordial flow of love, nutrition, welcoming is interrupted either by physical abandonment, emotional rejection, or even a physically present mother, but absent in essence, a deep wound in the soul is formed, a wound that claims to be filled. It is as if the incessant search for something that fills this emptiness, for this essential nutrition, manifested intensely in addiction. He somehow tries to replace the lame lap, the affection that was not received, the emotional security that was lost in that first and fundamental bond. This is not only reflected in addiction, but it can manifest in difficulty receiving in life, a sense of deserving, or in relationships where you're constantly missing, seeking in others what, deep down, still seeks in your mother. With each dose, with each purchase, with each repetition, is the inner child who screams for being seen and loved. Ask yourself, how was your first yes to life? Is there a pain, a deep void related to your mother, your first connection with life, that addiction tries to placate or fill? While the mother gives us life and welcoming, the father connects us to the outside world, action, direction, and fulfillment. I emphasized The father gives us the strength to go to the world, to action, for accomplishment. When the paternal force is absent, either by a father who is not physically present or a present but emotionally distant father, unable to offer limits, direction, or recognition, a deep sense of confusion and internal disorientation can arise. Addiction in this scenario can become an unconscious search for this structure, this internalized internal authority, or a recognition that was not received from a father. It is the difficulty in making decisions, setting clear boundaries for yourself and others, feeling safe and firm in your own way of life. Sometimes addiction is the attempt to find a compass when the internal reference has been lost, an attempt to fill with something external to compensate for the lack of an inner guide, a force that drives for the future. Reflect. Where do you miss direction or an internal structure in your life? How can your relationship with your father, or perception of his absence, be influencing this search for something external that gives him a purpose, or that fills a void of recognition? Sometimes the root of addiction goes beyond your own personal history, beyond what you lived directly. You may be carrying the pain of an excluded in the family system, or is for blind love and deep loyalty, in the service of an ancestral destination that has not found its proper place and recognition. I am very clear about this. No one can be excluded from the family system without having consequences to those who stay. You may feel an inexplicable void, a deep sadness that has no apparent origin in your experiences. It is as if living or expressing the pain of someone who was forgotten, renegade, dishonored, or whose history could not be told and integrated. Addiction, in this case, is not just a symptom of yours, but the expression of this collective burden. You are for love, holding a weight that does not actually belong to you. This is an even more subtle and deep loyalty. Visualization exercise. Close your eyes. Feel your body and space around you. Now invite your mind the possibility that there is a pain that is not yours, an emptiness that comes from an ancestor that has been excluded or forgotten. Imagine this pain as a dense mist around you. Now, visualize yourself kindly by giving this mist back to the original source, saying, "I see your pain and your struggle, but that doesn't belong to me. I return to you what is yours, and I take to me what is mine." Feel the relief. Ask yourself, is there any pain in my family, any silent story that seems to reverberate in me? Am I carrying a weight that does not belong to me for a love that seeks to restore order and inclusion? Many believe that the cure of addiction is a battle of willpower, a war to be overcome. But, as I said, the solution is not fighting, but in moving with what it is with love. Addiction is not overcome by the force of its reason. It dissolves when the pain that feeds is finally recognized, welcomed with compassion, and integrated into its being. Imagine a person who, instead of blaming himself incessantly or fighting desire, begins to ask himself, kindly, what is this compulsion trying to tell me? What deep pain does it try to alleviate? What message is my soul trying to send me through it? It is a radical change in perspective. Addiction is no longer an enemy to be defeated and becomes a messenger, a teacher, a sign to look inside. It's an invitation to embrace the pain, not to escape it. And when the pain is seen, it loses its control power. Reflect. If you could stop fighting for a moment, what would your addiction try to reveal you? What message is your soul trying to send you through it? The phrases that I will share now are not magical in the superficial sense, but powerful tools to realign your soul with the order of love. They're not only to be said, but felt, lived, allowing the energy to flow where it was once blocked. Remember, as I always say, love heals when we put it in the right order. Here are some for your healing and liberation journey. To recognize parents and take life fully. This is a movement of deep reverence, acceptance, and gratitude, absolutely fundamental to your inner strength and the flow of life in you. Stand up if you can. Feel your parents behind you, imagining them as pillars of support, even if the relationship was difficult. And say, with all your being, "Dear parents, I received the gift of life from you. Everything they gave me was what they could give, and it was enough for me to have my life. With all that it was and how it was, with the good and the hard, I take my life." Feel the strength that comes from this acceptance. To take your place in the world, firmly, with presence, feel your own inner strength, your right to exist and flourish. Yes to life, yes to me, yes to everything I am and everything I have received. With everything that has been and how it was, I take my place in this world. I belong and have the right to live my own life. Feel the body vibrate with this statement. These sentences, said with the right intent and connection, are not mere words. They are bridges for reconciliation order, and their own inner freedom. They're the way for the energy of love to flow again in your life. The pain, my friends, needs to be felt to be released. It's a paradox, I know. Trying to escape her, repress her, only root her even deeper into your being, giving you more power over you. But as I said, true love is one that includes everything, even pain. Pain is part of your story, and by hugging it, you transform it. Imagine that addiction is a dense and dark mist that covers your inner sun, its purest essence. Only by allowing the light of truth to shine over this hidden pain, welcoming it and integrating it, this mist dissipates, revealing the clarity, the serenity, and the strength that have always been inside you. Just as a physical wound needs to be clean and exposed to heal, emotional pain needs to be felt, named, and welcomed for healing to happen deeply and true. It is in this reunion with its inner truth, with its deeper essence, that freedom lies. Visualization exercise. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Imagine that you are in a safe place where you can finally make room for any pain that is stored. Allow it to emerge, not to dominate you, but to be seen. See it like a cloud, a shadow. Now imagine a warm, smooth light from your heart and involving this pain. Feel compassion for yourself, for your part that you suffered. Feel the release as light dissolves the shadow. Ask yourself, am I ready to face my inner truth, to feel what needs to be felt, and finally release what arrested me for so long? When you make this movement of recognizing the orders of love, honoring your ancestors, and finally taking your true and unique place in the system, transformation is deep and visible in all areas of your life. The vital energy that was previously stuck in addiction, invisible loyalty, or pain of the past becomes available to you, to be used in your own life. You will feel a significant reduction in compulsion, a lightness in the being that once seemed unattainable. Emotional clarity increases. You begin to rely on yourself. Your intuition sharpens, becoming a reliable guide. Self-love flourish authentically, and creativity manifests itself in new ways. Your relationships become more authentic, more fluid and healthier, as you no longer seek in others what you have not found in yourself. The purpose of life becomes clearer, the firm decisions. This is true freedom, not the absence of challenges, for life will always bring them, but the ability to face them from a place of strength, integrity, love for itself, and a deep sense of belonging. It is life flourishing to its fullest. Let us recap this journey. We have seen that addiction is a symptom, not the problem itself. He is a messenger who points us to the invisible loyalty, the interrupted movement with our parents, or the pain of an excluded in our lineage. And the key to true healing, for true freedom, begins when we stop fighting and allow ourselves, with courage and compassion, to feel the truth that hides behind this symptom. Remember, addiction does not define you. He is just a form that his soul, in his pain, found to try to deal with what hurts. Your soul, this one, defines you. She is pure. She is complete. She is her deepest essence. And she yearns, above all, for being free. Allow yourself to continue this deep self-excursion journey. Be kind to yourself. Seek therapeutic support, such as Family Constellations, feeling that you need a guide to go deeper and further unravel the invisible plots. The path of healing is an act of courage, of love for itself, and deep respect for everything it has been. May the truth you found here is the compass for your rebirth, for your own life. With love and respect, Bert Hellinger.